like, hey, what's the Disney Plus version of Tom Hanks? Josh Peck. So I feel very honored to be doing anything remotely associated to him because he's like the GOAT. But yeah, so I'm actually here for 8 months, and it's kind of a trip. It's, you know, we have special work permits to work in Canada because the border is closed. So it's funny because when you go to the store or something and you have to quarantine when you get here for 2 weeks, and people find out you're from America, they're just like, how is it down there? And we're like, it's okay, it's a little wild right now. And they're like, yeah, it seems that way. And I'm like, yeah, it is wild. But yeah, so I'm doing the show, and you know, it's cool. Like I got into social media in 2013 with Vine, which I don't know if you guys were a fan of Vine, but you know, I love it. You know, Vine is with Nigel in heaven, and I miss it. But it was great. It was a great app, and it was really unintentional how I got into social media because I had, you know, obviously done TV and movies and sort of lived in that world, and I was just a fan of Vine. And then I started making videos. I got a following, and I remember thinking, I don't know if this is good or bad or what, because I had never really connected with my audience, and it was so new. And a buddy of mine was like, "Yo, no matter what you think, you don't know what this is. Like social media is so new, but being able to connect with an audience like this, to go straight to them, to get their feedback, to know what they like, what they dislike, and everything in between is powerful. So don't let anyone tell you they know what this is because it's too early. No one knows. But oh my God, that's it. I'm turning off my friggin' computer. But anyway, I just, you know, so I started doing social media, and I started feeling really I just started feeling really like inspired, because it was the first time that I didn't have to go through the gatekeepers. It was the first time where I didn't have to be on set and, you know, get a role from a casting director or whatever. I could just create. And it was this, oops. Hi guys, did I mess it up? Am I here? Are we all good?
You're still here.
We see you.
Okay, perfect. So I will now conclude my long-winded story of I loved being able to do social media as something that was separate from sort of the movies and TV, because the power was in my hands. And I don't know if anyone watching today is sort of inspired to create their own content. Maybe they're studying broadcasting or theater or anything in between. But it's such a dope time, right? Because you don't have to go through the gatekeepers. I mean, people like my friends David Dobrik and so many other great creators on YouTube, Mr. Beast. Like, these are guys, you know, respect David from Illinois and Mr. Beast from North Carolina. Like, these are guys who didn't go through the system. They didn't have agents and managers. They didn't have a family member who was a producer. They just created dope content and had the courage to upload it, and it found an audience. And now their lives have completely blown up. I'm jealous of them. It's really, they're both very rich. But I digress. I just want to inspire anyone who's watching today to like have the guts to go out and try it, because it's, you know, if you make something compelling that you think is dope, there's a really good chance it'll find an audience. And I'm so glad to have that. And now with something like this Disney Plus show, I can kind of go back to my roots and have a really fun time doing that for 6 months. And then when I get home, I'll be, you know, taste testing fast food with Jonah blindfolded again.
I love that. Love that. Everybody watching at home, you take that home. That's wisdom. You take that wisdom and you run with it.
It's a little golden nugget. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I love your belief in me, Dad. I'm sorry.
We're just going through a whole bunch of stages in our relationship right now.
This is an emotional whirlwind.
I know. I got tissues on standby.
You mentioned eating, Jonah, so I'm gonna transition to. We're gonna keep the eating questions going.
Oh,
So
please. You know I'm a thick boy at heart.
me too. Me too. At heart, in person, yeah.
Respect.
I want to know what is like the highest amount of mukbangs you filmed with Joe in one day?
Oh my gosh. Oh, great question. Nice. You do your research. I like that.
I watch it. I watch all of them. I watch all of them.
Thank you. For anyone who doesn't know, because you've been under a rock, no, a mukbang is like an eating show. It's a Korean word, and it's basically a video of someone eating on camera. And so, you mentioned Joe. Joe has been such an integral part of my YouTube career because I met him early on, and obviously I was, with David and Jason, Zane and Heath and all these people who are incredible at vlogging. And I tried it for a year, but I felt very uncomfortable with here, I have my camera here. I felt very uncomfortable being like at the airport, being like, sup, Pecksters, like today we're gonna take a lit trip, like St. Louis, let's go, boom. Like it was just not my jam. And it wasn't going well. And people weren't watching it for like a year. And I remember Joe said to me, he was like, dude, it seems like you don't like this. And you've always made your career being in front of the camera. Why don't you try that? And so I was like, okay. So I set up a camera. I ordered some chicken wings. I called Trisha Paytas. I was like, hey, do you want to just come over and talk shit for an hour and eat a bunch of chicken wings? And she was like, already on my way. And, and that video got 3 million views. And from there, it was like I had found my lane. And so now I've done an incredible amount of mukbangs. I've stopped weighing myself because it depresses me. But I've done the most mukbangs I've done in a day were probably like maybe 2.5. You can't OD with it. You have to respect the muck because, your system has to be ready for it. It's a pretty holy moment because if you're overdoing the mukbang, you're going to get, the indigestion. It's not going to be good. But you also have to be you just have to be smart with the way you're banging. Some people are gang banging, I'm mukbanging. You know what I'm saying? It's cooler than the other, but hey.
Is there a training process for this to get the mind and body right? What are we doing pregame?
Just be 300 pounds on television when you're a teenager. and then lose it all and then gain a little bit of it back. But I think it's just, I think naturally what's great is, I don't know for you guys, but I think I excelled with the mukbangs because people know my history and know I'm a thick boy at heart and sort of where I come from. So it kind of qualified me because when you see just someone who's has a perfect 6-pack, being this tiramisu is bomb. I'm like, is it? Are you just having a bite and doing 800 crunches after? People know that I ain't doing no calisthenics after. I'm probably washing it down with a Slurpee.
All right. I got a question for you right now, Josh. So
Okay.
You've mentioned his name a couple times. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Is this David Dobrik? Yeah, you guys know him. Some of you guys, I don't know. They wanted to know what your guys' relationship was like, what it's like working with him and then filming videos with him.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just really inspired by his work ethic. He's got just this incredible clear vision about what he knows he's good at, and he doesn't deviate, which I can really respect because it's easy when you get to a certain level to start trying to think of what people want and how do you sort of stay on whatever the popular trend is. But I think he has this really clear idea of who he is, what his brand is, what the videos are that he makes, and then just this unwavering work ethic. And all those things combined has led to something, incredible. And I think it's really impressive. And he's, I think 24 or yeah, I think 24. And so like, dude, it's only, I mean, if he's accomplished this much, I can only imagine what the next decade will look like. So I'm proud that, I can be there to support the little cub in any way possible.
Now, I'm not sure if I've one yet, but you got any advice for me? How do I get my Tesla?
Oh, you want a Tesla?
I need a Tesla from David. How do I go about it?
Oh my gosh. It's not looking good.
It's not good. I thought maybe you could put in a good word for me.
You know what? You'll appreciate it more if you work hard, and even if maybe it won't be a Tesla right away, maybe it'll be a Chevy Cruze or perhaps a Kia Forte. Both lovely cars.
All right, we'll settle for
We're working up to it.
We'll settle for the Lulu sweats for now. That's our first goal.
I like the way you're thinking. I respect it, and I think it's economical.
So besides David, our Nico wants to know, are there any other YouTubers or special people in your life that you want to collaborate, or is your favorite collaborator?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I'm so lucky to have my like crew. I feel like amongst all of our friends, we have like certain different sections of people. So sort of Jonah and Joe and I have made our own like mukbang, the mukbang boys. We're our own crew, and Jeff as well. And so, I just feel really lucky. At the end of the day, like for someone like me, and I know it might sound corny, but like I hated when people would call themselves like an artist, like an artiste, because I was just like, what are you friggin' Picasso? Shut up! You're on the CW. You're not an artist. Like, who are you kidding? But inevitably, like I like creating. When I met David, we did a scene at his house, this skit that he had kidnapped me, or that Jason had kidnapped me for him. And we sat there and we're improvising and we're coming up with jokes and we're picking each other jokes. And there's no trailers, there's no billboards, there's none of the fancy shit that lives around like getting to do TV and movies. But it was just fun. It was just pure. Like, and if you love creating and acting and coming up with the best joke or the best scene, the best line, then it's kind of like, YouTube is the perfect opportunity because you can be as productive as you want to be. So yeah, I don't know, I might, I'm trying to think of who, my son's really into YouTube now. So I don't know, maybe I'd like to collaborate with Ryan's Toys. I've heard he's a pretty celebrated creator. I want to do something. I want to be on Sesame Street. That's my jam right now. Oh man, me and Elmo. Can you imagine? Childhood would just. I don't think people would be able to recover. They'd have to hand out Xanax in the streets. People would out.
Hey Josh, I have a fun fact for you.
Please, I love facts.
I live on Sesame Street.
No way, with like Grover and Cookie Monster.
Giving your address away?
Can I come over? Not in a weird way. I'll just hang out on the street. I'll hang out on your street. It's a big bird. That's very impressive.
I'll put it on my resume.
I'm pretty starstruck right now. Wow.
Who's next?
Right.
So, speaking of YouTube, we have a question from one of our viewers. Is wondering how you make yourself stand out with so many like new creators in such a competitive way, like on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't trip out about it. I'm really lucky to be able to like. Again, like I said, like I remember I was doing. So I did this show Grandfathered on Fox like 3 years ago, and I played John Stamos' son, which is crazy. Like I wish I could. I wish I could teleport back to 2001 and tell 14-year-old chubby Josh, like, bro, one day you're going to be able to pass for John Stamos' son. Like, it's all good. Like, don't worry. And then, chubby 2001 Josh would be like, are you a hologram? What are you? But so I did that show for a year, and I was like, and it's John Stamos, dude, Uncle Jesse. Like, he's so handsome, and he just smells like a man. He smells like an old book and like the inside of a drawer, like just like it's just like tobacco, but he doesn't smoke. So I don't know how he pulls that off. Anyway, and I was doing that show, and it's like there's so much hype, and you're so excited, and people aren't watching it, and you're like, I don't know if this show is going to be on anymore. And and I remember it got canceled after one season. I was like, dude, I'm throwing myself into YouTube, because all this stuff that's out of your control, that you just pray kind of comes together and finds an audience. I had lived for so long sort of at the mercy of that. So now on YouTube, I just feel so glad to be doing my own thing, that it's like, if you strike gold and something like crushes and it gets 5 million views, and then you can keep it going, and God knows I love to milk a good idea. Some people might call my videos repetitive. But then, and you can serialize it though, which is like a great art. Finding something that people want to watch over and over, just kind of slightly changing it is beautiful. And then you got to be down to put out 10 videos in a row that get less than 500,000 views, because it's kind of bridging the gap to the next thing. You only have so many good ideas, and you can't compare yourself against David or Mr. Beast, who are like, they're the superheroes of this art form, and they've cracked it in a way. But like, YouTube for me is this great additional thing that I'm able to do, that is super gratifying, is like a great sort of income source. And so I don't trip about it too much, sort of the competitive nature. Like, I don't see I don't know, like I don't see Shane Dawson in the streets, and we have a we have a stare down, or like I'm not getting in wrestling matches with Jeffree Star. Like, I'm happy for everyone.
That would be good.
So, well, of course, you mentioned how there are a bunch of new YouTubers and things like that, but also there's TikTok and previously Vine you mentioned earlier. Do you like TikTok or Vine more? Does it matter to you? And also, what are some of your favorite videos or trends from each one?
Oh my gosh. So on Vine, I liked, and I'm not going to get it completely right. Well, the best Vine was, and they were roommates. That's a good one. And TikTok is just like, I'm no dancer, but TikTok is incredible. Whoever created the algorithm for TikTok made a deal with the devil, because I get on that TikTok, I'm like, this is exactly what algorithm, how do they know? I love it all. Like, I'll see 100 videos in a row. I can't believe it's so good. So TikTok's dope. I made a video with Dixie D'Amelio. She was very nice, and I was like, wow, you have 40 million like people following you. What's that like? And she's like, I don't know. I'm from Connecticut, and I'm 18, and this is cool, I guess. So I was like, that seems like the right way to look at it. So yeah, I mean, I'm a fan for sure. I just gotta work on my dance, or just start pimping out my son, because he's so cute, and that's just social media gold. I'm not ready yet, but I just hate the comments when because my son and I will go for like dates where I'll take him in the morning, we'll go have like a donut and just kind of drive around daddy son stuff, and I'll post it on my Instagram, and somebody will be like, hey, a couple hundred donuts and maybe he'll have his own TV show. And I'm like, I'll kill you.
That's me.
It's okay. People, social media will give you a tough skin.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
What side of TikTok are you on right now?
What do you mean?
What videos and trends are you seeing in your For You page?
My For You page, I don't know. I see, I'm seeing a lot of that trend with the song from Fleetwood Mac. It's all around. That's freebie. You're welcome, guys.
Super happy for that guy who got a truck.
Bro, that guy is my hero.
Honestly.
I just want to be best friends with him. I want to play golf with him or something. I just want to socialize with him.
Somehow cranberry juice became an icon, just a symbol of American freedom.
Don't make a mistake. It's cran raspberry.
Cran raspberry. It's the mix.
It's an incredible combo. Let's be honest. Much respect to Ocean Spray. I got to get that brand deal. That would be like, oh.
We'll forward this part to them.
This is brought to you by Ocean Spray. I'm trying to get a small shit too. That's all I need. All right. Got another question for you, Josh. So, with everything in your life being on social media, you're got so many viewers. A lot of your public life is streamed onto there. How do you keep a sense of privacy?
I don't. I'm gonna start an OnlyFans, and then at that point, it's over. I'm gonna let it all. I'll do it. I don't even care. I don't even know.
Take my money, please.
So get your phones out. Start the screenshots. I'm not. For me, it's like I show my kid on social media a little bit, not much, and I have a pretty private life in good ways. So I don't know D on it, and I'm able to kind of play with it in certain ways. And God bless my wife, who's like incredible on screen, but sometimes she'll just give me a look, and I'll be like, babe, isn't this crazy? And she'll give me a look, and I'll be like, okay. So she keeps me in check, so I'm lucky. So I only hope for all of you that you have a partner who keeps you in check.
And just so you know, if you start that OnlyFans, you got one subscriber right here.
Wow, that
You got
means
one.
a lot. And also, good luck with that. The feedback from that comment, because I think we have a couple text messages after that.
Hey, I can already feel the phone buzzing. Everybody's getting concerned.
It's all right. You got a nice circle around you, and they should be concerned.
Hold on, that's my mom calling.
Talk to her. Let me talk to her.
Let me put you on. We'll straighten it out.
Right. I got a follow-up question. You mentioned your wife and how you get some weird looks from her, but in general, has she been supportive throughout your career? And how is it from her perspective, do you think?
Oh man. Well, the truth is I really married up. She's way out of my league, so she can do it. If she's with me for money at this point, I don't blame her. And it's not even that much, which is weird. No, my wife is the best. I'm so lucky. And, I met my wife, I was 24, she was 20, and we met at a Halloween party like almost 9 years ago. So like here we are married and with a kid. It's like so fucking grown up, which is weird because I'm Josh from Drake and Josh. It's like, and I have a child human now that's mine that I have to raise and try not to mess up. So I'm it sounds like totally corny and trite, but I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I get to work and do the thing that I love and have this great family and this great kid. And, I'm a pretty new dad. And I remember, just from the beginning of it, it's such a surreal experience that I hope you all have one day far away. No need to do it right now. Let me tell you, because it's exhausting, but rewarding. But like, I'll tell you this story if you want to hear it about when my son was born.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Of course.
Someone's like, we're good. Nah. So my wife was 9 months pregnant and my wife wound up having a C-section when my son was born. And I'm just saying this to like kind of paint the picture of how wild it is, how in an instant your life is immediately upturned and completely changed. And so I remember they like basically the dads are very useless in this scenario. And so I'm like in a waiting room as my wife is like in the operating room, like getting all set up, and there's these incredible doctors and nurses around. And they give me these like painter's overalls to wear over my clothes because they don't want you in scrubs because they don't want to confuse you for someone who knows what the hell they're doing. They're like, put the dummy in the idiot suit. So I'm like there and I'm like, here, wait, I'll just zoom out a little. I'm like, I'm like pacing, right? And then they give me the painter's overalls and I'm like, okay, bet. And I like put them on. I'm like zipping it up. And I'm like taking selfies of myself in the painter's overalls because I look cute. And then you go into this room and like I'm right there in my wife's head because that's all I can see because everything's like curtained off from the neck down. And I'm like trying to hype her up, and I'm like her hype man. So I'm like, you're my hero, like you're Beyonce, like we are doing this, but I'm not doing anything, but we are doing this. And then your kid is born. And I remember the doctor has the baby and she goes, oh, so cute, huge head. And I was like, that's my kid. That's my son. Let's go, baby. And from that moment on, you're just like, wow, my life is utterly different. And my life is much less now about brunch and Lululemon pants and OnlyFans and much about my family. And and sorry, I'll tell you this one last thing. So we were about to leave the hospital. This I'll never forget. And it's the night before we leave the hospital. And the nurses come in and it's like 11 o'clock at night and they go, would you like us to take the baby to the nursery for like 6 hours so you guys could get some rest because you'll never be able to rest again? And we were like, great. Okay. Yeah. You guys know better than we do. So they take the baby and we fall asleep. And like an hour later, a doctor and two nurses come in the room and they hit the lights and they're like, hi. And we were like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And the doctor goes, no big deal. Your baby was pooping and we noticed that he started to turn gray and he was pushing so hard he stopped breathing. And we were like, what? Like it was a second or two and then he caught his breath and he was fine. But we just wanted to just let you know everything's fine. Just heads up. And I was like, hold up. Yo. I was like, you mean to tell me my baby was pooping so hard he took his own breath away? I was very proud in that moment. It was my first really proud dad moment.
That's hilarious.
Can't say it's ever happened to me, but
you're like, that happened to me Tuesday. What about like, would you guys like to hear sort of like the origins of Drake and Josh a little bit? Is that of any interest?
I would love the backstory.
Do you have any stories about
Yeah? Sorry, about the Amanda show?
Yeah.
One very nice segue. Perfect setup, sir. Well, it's kind of a trip, right? Because like I was 12 years old living in New York, and my dream, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, was to be on this show, All That, which was like, it was like SNL kids, and I auditioned for it all the time, but like all that wanted nothing to do with Josh Peck. I don't know why. I was cute, I was round, it seemed like I had all the necessary skills, but nevertheless. And so, you know, I wound up doing this movie called Snow Day, Nickelodeon, and it was my first movie, and I'm up in Canada shooting the movie, and the president of Nickelodeon was there, and I just remember he kind of took a shine to me, thought I was like a funny kid because I'm like this chubby 12-year-old kid talking shit. And my mom was like, yo, he likes you. Tell him you want to do all that. Like, tell him it's your dream. Because my mom, being the wonderful Jewish mother that she is not afraid to tell me what to do. And I told him, and I remember 9 months later to the day, the movie came out, and we got a call from that president. His name's Albie, and he said, I just want to let you guys know that that the movie is a hit, and it's doing really well, and I'm going to fly you and your mom to California to be on the Amanda Show. And that changed my life. And all of a sudden I was like, there, I had arrived, and watching Amanda, who was just so crazy talented and who I still talk to this day. And that spun off Drake and Josh. And you know, we did that for many years. And what's incredible for me is to see the effect that it's had, and how, you know, over 10 years after, you know, finishing our final episode, the way people feel about the show, and that it's slightly like evergreen. And I think that's because it was just about a family. It was a simple idea, you know, two stepbrothers coming together who are totally different and having to figure it out with an evil stepsister. And, you know, and that was kind of the premise. And I think everyone could relate, which is why it sort of really withstood the test of time. And I've had the most bugged out interactions with people who love the show. Like, I remember I was going through airport security, and the guy who checks your ID is like looking at me, and he's like, you're good. And I like go, okay. And as I walk by, he's like, yo, pip, pip, doodly doo. What? I was like, you just pip, pip, doodly doo me? Like, and I mean, another guy at the airport, because I have weird interactions at the airport, was like looking through my bags, because I don't know, I'm shady. And he was like going through my luggage, and he's like, yo, your sister, she got tricks. So he's like, one day y'all are gonna get it back. You're good to go, Josh Nichols. And I was like, what? The craziest thing, do you know Prez Barry, as I like to affectionately call him? Do you know Barack Obama talked about Drake and Josh? Did you guys know that?
No.
I didn't catch that.
It's okay. Let me give you a quick history lesson. Dude, I remember I get a call like, yo, bro, the Prez talked about you. I'm like, Barry? And they're like, yes. And so I was like, oh my God. So I find this video, and it was towards the end of his presidency. And he's like, he's doing this speech, and he's like, folks, sorry. he's like, Michelle, like, he's like, I know what the kids like. They like SpongeBob. They like Josh and Drake. And I was like, he said my name first. And so, you know, it's pretty dope to see how it's affected people, and sort of stayed in the history of you know, kids TV in that way. And sorry, and then I'll stop talking. The last story is, I remember I was in Amsterdam. I was like 21 in Amsterdam at like 2 a.m. at this coffee shop, drinking coffee, of course. And I remember there's like this British kid who was like really cool, and he's hanging out with like this group of guys, and he's smoking this like gigantic, let's just call it a cigarette. And he's like, and he sees me from across the room, and he's like, oi.
Oh no, you?
You had a funny fat one. It's like, oh my God. Like in Amsterdam, I'm being recognized. And also I've lost 100 pounds, but it's fine. It's fine. Never get away from it. No, but so it's cool. It's just cool to see how it sort of traveled.
Yeah. So moving on to our last question. So we actually have an extremely talented acting and theater program at Illinois Wesleyan. Do you have any advice for future actors that we have on campus?
Yeah, I what I would say is this is like it's easy, and I think this is in general for like I can only speak for myself, but I would imagine so like for all of you guys is that you you're young and you're also like able and you have this great education that you're going to like take out into the world, and I'm sure there's a part of you that feels that pressure to start your life and to go out and figure it out and sort of put your stamp on the world and put all these resources that you've now accumulated to good use. And especially as an actor, when you're in theater school or you're studying, I'm sure there's a part of you that's like, God, I just want to get, I want to get to LA and be on, I just want to be on Stranger Things or CSI, CSI Vernon Hills or where, whatever. NCIS Toledo. Like, God, I just want to get there. I want to start. I want to like put my mark on things. And like, what I would say is enjoy this time to completely fall on your face, to crush it and everything in between. Like I still go to acting class to this day. And what my teacher always says is like, this is your gym as an actor. Like, this is the place where like, do Shakespeare on a Monday and a scene from a Spike Lee movie on Tuesday. Try everything. And it will allow you to it will reveal parts of you that you didn't know were there. Because once you're getting paid to do it and you're sort of on the professional side of things, there's a lot less room to try things because you just don't have the time to mess up. Like you got to hit your mark and do what you're being asked to do. And this time is so beautiful to refine your instrument, to figure out exactly what it is you want to say, and to build a foundation so that when you're put in that position one day, when you're crushing it on NCIS Vernon Hills, that you can really bring yourself to it. Like, this is the time. It will pay you such dividends if you give over to this experience and don't worry about what's going to happen in a year or two from now, and just say like, I just want to get as good as I can. I want to be willing to embarrass myself, knowing that sometimes you have to do that in order to reveal what like the right thing is. And and so much good luck to you. And don't be afraid to try things that are completely and utterly out of your comfort zone. I do that all the time. There are plenty of movies where I did that, and I'm not proud of them, but I'm glad they exist.
Well, Josh, you mentioned lots of great wisdom there. Do you have a story for like one of your learning curves, like something that impacted you a lot?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Thank you. I mean, there have been so many moments. I did Drake and Josh for 6 years of my life as a kid. And when I finished it, like most people, when they leave high school or college, like I was in a real place of wanting to do something totally the opposite. Not that I didn't love and respect that time. I just was like, okay, I've done that now. And I spent many years sort of turning my back on what my assets are, what I love, what I'm good at, which is like being silly and making people laugh. And I wanted to be tough and talk like this and, be like a dude, like a dude's dude. And there were so many experiences over like 5 or 6 years where I was just missing the mark because I was betraying my real self. But I had to do it. I had to go through that time and feel embarrassed and frustrated and lost in certain ways, because inevitably what I was doing was finding my way back to my real truth, which was like embrace the part of you that has this quality. And And so now sitting here at 33, like doing something like Turner and Hooch, like I'm playing like a badass, like US Marshal, like kind of like cool action guy, but I'm doing it while being a complete, you know, buffoon at times and being an idiot and making fun of myself and getting, you know, clobbered by my dog. And it's just all these, I was able to sort of add in what I'd went through over the last 10 years and bring it to this new character. And yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example. I remember I did this movie Red Dawn, which I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was my guy.
I like that movie. Big fan.
I don't know, guys. We are really connecting. I don't know if you are seeing the sparks are flying. But like, you know, I was there doing that movie with Chris Hemsworth playing his brother. Weird casting. I don't see it, but I appreciate it. And you know, he's Thor. And I'm like trying to live up to this dude who's naturally Thor. And I'm like, I can never be him. But I friggin' tried and I didn't succeed. I remember we had to train with Navy SEALs during the movie, and they like wanted me to get in shape for the movie. And like, so I'm like having mini breakdowns all the time because I'd never worked out like that, where like your whole body hurts. So the Navy SEAL would be like, here, wait, I want you to be able to see. The Navy SEAL would be like, okay, do an air squat, and I'd be like, and he'd be like, you see what you're doing wrong there? And I'd be like, I don't know, everything. I remember like I remember there's a scene where I'm like running with the AK-47 down a street in Detroit, and there's explosions going off and debris, all these cars zipping by, and I was just thinking, I'm Josh from Drake and Josh. These people thinking. And if we have time, I have one good story from that movie if you want to hear it. So Tom Cruise produced a movie. This is a wonderfully embarrassing story, but we're all close now. So Tom Cruise produced a movie like that one, and I remember one day he had me and some of the writers come in and pitch jokes for a scene because it needed some funny elements, and I pitched a joke, and he cracked up, and I was like, I'm out of here. Enjoy that joke, Tom Cruise. Bye. and I'm driving home and I'm like so proud of myself. I'm like on such a high. And I was like, wow, I made Tom Cruise laugh. I deserve an ice cream. That's how my sick mind works. So I go to Dairy Queen in Troy, Michigan, and I get my ice cream, which I decide to eat alone in my car because that's how I roll. And I'm eating this ice cream alone in my car, and I see an SUV like whip into the parking lot, and I hear a knock on my window, and it's like this, and I turn and I'm like, and I go to roll down here, wait, and I go to roll down the window. It was automatic. And I was like, hey, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise. I don't think he followed me there, but somehow he wound up being there. And he's just, dude, he's standing there looking at me in my car like, what are you doing? You eating ice cream alone in your car? And I was like, yeah, pretty much, Tom Cruise. And he was like, do you want to come in and eat ice cream with me and my family? And I was like, no. I couldn't go in and eat a second ice cream. That would be ridiculous. So long story short, it's fine. It worked out. I'm on YouTube now, so I don't regret that. But it's a long-winded way of like, I did that movie and I tried to be something I wasn't, and everyone could tell. And it didn't finish me. It wasn't like, okay, well, you sucked in that, and so now you have to, become a real estate agent. It was like, okay, like it wasn't right, and it's on view for the whole world to see. but like with the information that you now have, like, what are you going to do with it? And how are you going to apply that to the next thing and the next thing and try to get better and try to get more comfortable? And it wasn't always easy, but it was the right thing. And I showed up for it. And luckily, you know, I always got another job and I always felt a little better in what I was doing. And I would just tell anyone watching, like, it's challenging, but it's beautiful. And you know, it's always, all you got to worry about is the next right thing. Don't worry about 10 steps down the line. Just do the next right thing and it'll all work out.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. From your poop story with your son, we really appreciate you being here tonight. We had a great time and I hope you did too. So thank you. And we look forward to tuning into your new show.
Thank you so much. Send my love to the gigantic squirrels on campus. And thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
All right, we just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. Stay safe. Have a good night. Thank you.
All right.
Woo!